The story begins from the golden age of the Italian Renaissance, or the period of European cultural, artistic, political, and economic rebirth. Specifically, in the 15th century, who would have thought that a person without any formal education would build the proto-machine gun to the first ever robot? An artist, inventor, anatomist, architect, engineer are some of the titles that Leonardo da Vinci held during his 67 years long life. Da Vinci was ambidextrous. Yes, he was able to use the right and left hands equally well. Also, he wrote back to front, from right to left across the page, which meant that for many years people were unable to understand his notes. This kind of mirror writing led people to believe that Da Vinci wanted to keep his ideas secret. Many historians and scholars regard Leonardo as the prime exemplar of the universal genius, or Renaissance man, an individual of unquenchable curiosity and feverishly inventive imagination. He was tall, at least 5'8", athletic and handsome. As he grew older, he wore his hair long, grew a beard down to his chest, and wore brightly colored clothes, which was very different from other men of his time. Let me ask you one thing, how many hours of sleep do you need? 8? 6? Da Vinci followed an extreme form of a polyphasic sleep schedule called the Uberman sleep cycle, which consists of 20-minute naps every 4 hours, which means he had spent most of his lifetime in inventing something. He had almost 15,000 pages of findings, and those contributions later helped us to invent things like the tank, parachute, helicopter, use of concentrated solar power, calculator, etc. 500 years before the first helicopter was built, Da Vinci sketched out what he called the aerial screw. This aerial screw was a man-powered helicopter that required 4 men to spin cranks fast enough to generate enough lift to get off the ground. He studied bird flight for many years, analyzing it rationally and anticipating many principles of aerodynamics. He understood that an object offers as much resistance to the air as the air does to the object. Even Newton's third law of motion was published after long years on 1686. His flying machine model includes all forms of aircraft studied and constructed before the development of the first motor-operated airplane by the Wright brothers in 1903. Leonardo's anatomical drawing was very important for the advancement of medicine drawing, such as his Vitruvian Man. Among the artist's best known works, along with the Last Supper and Mona Lisa, as he dissected more than 30 human bodies. Its art meets science, a study of proportions of the human body. According to him, the distance from one outstretched fingertip to the other is the same as the height of a person, and the distance from the chin to the nose is exactly 1/3 of the length of the face. Polymath's Vitruvian Man has evolved over the last 5 centuries from a thoughtful sketch into the picture of health. But the history behind this drawing is as curious as its image is omnipresent. The Last Supper portrays the reaction given by each apostle when Jesus said one of them would betray him. All 12 apostles have different reactions to the news, with various degrees of anger and shock. Da Vinci's masterful use of perspective as it draws our attention to the face of Christ at the center of the composition and all the other 12 companions, including the traitor. Mona Lisa was a real person, and we are not talking about a self-portrait of the artist, as you may think. Mona Lisa was a real Florentine woman, born and raised in Florence under the name of Lisa Gherardini. A tricky smile and timeless allure have inspired academic study and artistic emulation for more than 5 centuries. But the story of Leonardo da Vinci's perplexing portrait is even richer than it looks. Some claim the subject's lack of eyebrows represent a high-class fashion of that time. Others insist the lack of eyebrows is proof that Mona Lisa is an unfinished masterpiece. After a dramatic journey from place to place, now she hangs in the Louvre Museum in Paris, as beautiful as she is. For Da Vinci, however, it went a step further. It wasn't just that he needed to put his best work out there, but he also never wanted to stop improving something. What he created was always a work in progress because he knew that he wasn't done mastering new techniques. And that conclusion would indeed be right. He was a genius, unlike anyone we have ever seen.